Welcome to Blood in the Snow Radio, where we give you the latest news and interviews with the best in Canadian genre cinema. Here are your hosts, Robert Bellamy and Festival Director Kelly Michael Stewart.
Welcome to Bits Radio. Kelly, we're back on the air.
Yeah, I'm actually co-hosting for once with you here, so the intro actually makes sense this time.
I know, it's been wrong for so long, but I'm glad we can make it right with this interview.
Exactly.
This is the cast and crew of Hellbound Taxi. How are y'all doing?
Hey, real good.
It's one of those massive things where nobody wants to talk over top of anybody, so everybody's quiet. That's a good sign.
We'll get over that pretty quickly, I think.
No doubt. All right, we'll jump right into it with Brandon. What was it like? Was this your first time at Bits?
It absolutely was. This past year was the first time I've taken any film to any festivals at all that I had written and directed, that is. And I had a fantastic time down in Toronto. All of us did. Wonderful theater. Really nice selection of films in the proof of concept category. And a lovely atmosphere there at the theater with people in their costumes. The actress who was sort of the female Blade, I recall in particular.
Samara.
Yes, Samara. It was a fantastic evening. Yeah.
Excellent.
Well, that was neat actually, because you were mentioning about proof of concept, because you played in the Bits and Bytes program, and that was actually something new that we did this year. Because normally that program is for exclusively for web series and music videos. And we always never really quite sure what to do with proof of concept shorts and kind of the idea. And we've had got them so early like that, and we thought, well, we had some spaces open in that category, and so we kind of expanded it to kind of like have that as well, kind of thing too. So that was kind of a new thing. So their short and yours kind of that too was kind of fitting more into that category. And I think it went over really well.
Yeah, I know people during the screening were having fun.
Mm-hmm.
Quite a bit of hooting and hollering, which I always like to hear.
Exactly. I guess we'll figure then where I always like to start is the kernel of the idea. Where did the idea for this program come from? Who do we blame for this?
Yeah, I think you can blame Doc Holliday right there. In the sense that I had the good fortune to act opposite Steve in a short at Dockville Wild West Film Set. And for those who are not familiar with Dockville Wild West Film Set, it is a marvelous location in Newcastle, Ontario. Steve acquired the property. Why don't I let you tell the story of how Dockville came to be, Steve?
Well, in 1985, I purchased the property. It was a very unique Century Farm, 1848. And it's the way the property was set up. It already had some buildings on it. And it had a very long U-shaped driveway. And then I tore down a bunch of barns and started bringing wood back. And then threw up a bunch of false front buildings. And then it wasn't long after that, I got a Visine commercial shoot. And from there, it was just one project after the next and adding more buildings. And to the point where we're at today, where it's a full-blown town with interiors, exteriors, and thousands of props, covered wagons, buggies, just endless amount of props on this set now.
Mm-hmm.
So some people collect stamps and coins. You collect towns.
Yeah.
So did the location dictate the storyline at all? Because sometimes you write with what you have available. Did that come into play? Or
Yeah, it was a case of I'd been contemplating a story that was completely 19th century, and so I was thinking about that for quite a while. But I knew as well that Steve was very keen on doing something with this 50s Ford, souped up 50s Ford that he had, that actually had Hellbound Taxi stenciled on the door. And I thought, well, why not do something that there's already some enthusiasm around, which is this vehicle. And I'd sat in the car, and to be honest with you, the thing about the car that really got me was, well, many things, but inside, the paint was flaking off the ceiling a little bit and looked like shark teeth. And it just felt like a horrific beast of a vehicle that could eat somebody. And that kind of became the center around which the characters and the plot and the backstory and the world kind of formed.
That is excellent. So this is like almost like a Western town out in Newcastle.
It 100% is. Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
oh yeah, no, it's a full-blown Western town with streets, buildings. There's at least 13 or more, different buildings and doorways that you're going in and out of. And but it was a perfect setting for our Hellbound Taxi. Right, Roscoe?
That's right.
So before we go any further, we have like 6 people on this call here. So some people are listening by audio and some people are watching by video. If we could kind of do like maybe a little round table first to kind of introduce everyone so listeners can kind of know who we're talking to.
That's where we should have started. Yes.
Sounds good.
We'll start with Steve, Michelle, and Jamie. If you guys could introduce yourselves and what you did on the project.
Well, hi, I'm Steve Doc Holliday, owner and operator of the Dockville Wild West film set here in Newcastle, Ontario.
Whole lot of air quotes there. Jamie?
Amy?
I'm Jamie. I'm the DOP, props guy, editor,
Lighting.
visual effects. The list goes on.
Independent film, many hats. Exactly. And Michelle?
Michelle Foster. I'm basically the production coordinator. I do logistics, scheduling, costume, like whatever sort of needs to be done, lug gear, whatever. I'm just there.
Perfect. Xander?
I'm Xander Jones, first-time actor, and I brought the demon Roscoe to life.
First-time actor.
First-time actor.
Wow.
Beautiful job, too, buddy. We love you. We love you, brother.
You guys made it easy on me.
Rob?
Hey everyone, my name's Rob McAllister, and I composed the music for Hellbound Taxi.
You can tell he's in audio. It's crystal clear, his audio. And Brendan?
Yeah, hi, I'm Brendan Fell, and I'm the writer and director of Hellbound Taxi. Had the great good fortune of working with these folks on this, and happy to be with you this evening.
Perfect. I'm going to jump back to Jamie real quick about a question, because there's a lot of effects in this.
There is actually, yeah. It was a bit daunting when I sat down to do it.
Some of them are so seamless, though. Like, how did you approach that?
Well, the script kind of really dictated what we had to do, and then it was just kind of, I don't know, figuring out how we were going to do it. Like when Roscoe gets hit with the car, Brendan had that written in, and at first I'm kind of like, I don't know how we're going to do this, and then I just kind of thought, well, why don't we just lock the camera off and then do a split screen? So we had Roscoe act out being hit by the car, and then just composited the car in and blended the two, and sent him for a ride. Yeah. And then the other stuff like the fire, that was a bit, I was concerned that we wouldn't be able to sell the fire in the backseat of the car. So that's why in the end, it's all blurry. We decided to keep the focus on Doc as he walks out of the shot and not pull the car back into focus again, which really helped sell it. So I'm glad we had the forethought to do that. In fact, I think we shot it 2 ways just in case.
That's cool. Yeah, because actors frown on you running over them with cars, so I can appreciate why you would work around.
I'm not Xander.
I was just saying that was all in.
Ready to do it.
Man, I'll tell you, you threw yourself. It just, it was amazing how you were the ultimate stunt man.
Oh yeah.
Sure, because we had I never intended to have Xander throw himself from the car and hit the ground and tumble, because we just needed the last little bit, but he was like, no way, man, I'm doing it. So we were like, okay. I guess unbeknownst to him, it was because that's kind of like one shot from when he hits the ground and we follow him being dragged to the car and he gets thrown in. I'm sure when he said he was doing it for real, he didn't account for like 21 takes of missed dialogue. And at the end, when he was having his makeup removed, I was like, wow, she did a great job on making his arm all hacked up and bleeding. But no, that was all Xander.
That's where the first-time actor really shines.
Oh, yeah. I think after like take 7, Brennan asked me, he's like, "Oh, you're good for another one? Not even a question, boss. Let's go."
No hesitation. Probably worth mentioning at this point that Xander, you've had some specialized training, shall we say? Isn't that?
Yeah, I trained to be a pro wrestler, so bumping around and all that stuff isn't new to me.
Yeah,
that helps. That helps a lot. Well, let's get back to Xander then. What was it like bringing this character to life? Like, what challenges did you have to create a demon?
Honestly, all the credit to Brennan, because like he really like he gave the bare bones of it, and I was like, oh well, I was thinking like, what if we do this? What if we do that? I was thinking about this, and whatever I was pitching to him, he goes, no, okay, let's roll with it. This is your idea for it. Keep going, keep going. And honestly, like this is the character I would have written for myself as a little 13-year-old. So to be able to actually bring that to the screen, like
I was really lucky to have a friend recommend Xander for this, because I didn't bargain on having an actor who would be so gung-ho about working on the character background to the point of actually inventing scenes that had nothing to do with what we actually shot. But Xander had the one image in mind of Roscoe attending a county fair and eating cotton candy on the Ferris wheel as the whole place burned to the ground. And it's just little things like that, plus the fact that he created his own wardrobe for this short, his own leather jacket with its own patches, and we kind of collaborated. Here it is, on exactly what would go on that jacket to give definition and facets to who Roscoe was.
Xander's just showing the jacket that was in the film.
Yeah,
that is really cool. It even for a first-time actor, even experienced actors don't get that much character control usually.
Right. Well, he was a very usable resource, shall we say.
So I guess that will loop us to Michelle, because you're in charge of coordinating all of this. Okay, you're like the ringmaster for this circus. How challenging was that?
It really comes down to the pre-production you do. We did a lot of pre-production work on it. So there was a lot of planning that went into it ahead of time. One of the things that you always struggle with when you're doing exterior shooting is the logistics of weather, the sun. The shot that we did, the opening sort of scene where it's all raining, we had originally planned that to be on a hot, sunny day and just have the sun beating down. But when we were looking at the timing on the day when we're shooting and our schedule, the timing wasn't going to work with the way the shadows were going to hit from this scene to the next scene. So it's like we had to make a call, and we rescheduled for another day, and it ended up raining. And it ended up even being better because there was so much more texture to the scene. So while you're doing logistics, you have to be open to, changing things around on the fly, and often it makes for a better end product.
Did that ever cause any rewrites? Like, was there things added or taken away because of the environment that you guys were playing in?
Not for that scene, I don't recall. We pretty much played the same scene, just it was in the rain.
Excellent.
Yeah, I think Steve in the original one, he was supposed to be on a roof as the car pulled up, and he was going to come down the ladder, I think, and then
that is right.
That all got.
But then we changed it to the porch.
Yeah,
I forgot about that.
I think that was actually the very first image that you and I had, Jamie, for this film, which was an image of Steve standing on the roof and doing some maintenance work on something or fixing a sign, and then
and he'd be like hot and sweaty, and everything would be like orange and hot looking, but yeah, that all went out the window. I do remember, I think Brendan curled up in a ball and maybe cried a bit.
On that day when we had that, yeah.
Not just once.
Yeah, there's always logistics things that come into play, and something comes up and things aren't kind of gelling right, so you kind of do a quick little rewrite of the scene or change dialogue a little bit here and there, and you just kind of gotta roll with the punches as you're on set, because that's the way it happens.
I have to say, the opening scene with the rain and the camera catching the waters dripping off the teeth of the little gargoyle on the hood was a real super touch that just happened naturally.
Those can be the best shots. Absolutely.
Yeah. The ones that aren't planned are the best keeper shots.
Well, I think the rain really, in the end, I don't think we would have thought that while we were filming it, but the rain really drove the Steve's situation, his rock in a hard place and not having a choice. I think in the end, the rain sold that emotion better than the hot sun would have.
Yeah, no, it worked. That's perfect.
That's a cool point.
That's something that Orson Welles used to say, that we preside over happy accidents. Like that too, is the things that you want to like that too. That's really what it is you're looking for things like that to challenge you. And I've talked to so many filmmakers where it's always made the film better, because there's it's not the unexpected is what you do with the unexpected, and it's fascinating how that kind of happens.
And to that point,
sorry, go ahead, brother.
To that point of happy accidents, we had a different actor in the role that was ultimately played by Michael Valiant Saunders, the character of Slade. And I do want to mention Michael because he and Steve and Xander were all of them nominated for the Best International Actor Award at the Austin Revolution Film Festival. So I do want to mention that. And so we had a different casting in mind to begin with, and that it didn't work out for various reasons. And so then I was in the position of reaching out to Michael the day before we were going to go and shoot, and saying to him, "Hey, man, you want to do some acting tomorrow?" And to his great credit, he got the script and he showed up, and he was running lines,
perfect,
shooting, and he killed it and allowed us to make our film. Yeah.
Another happy accident. That's awesome.
Yeah,
we had forgotten about that. Yeah.
Well, Rob, I did not forget about you, because now that we've seen this little circus that took place, how did you come about taking all of that and composing around that? Because the score that you had on this was great.
Thank you. No, it's all good. It's fun hearing these stories here. I this is my first time hearing a lot of this stuff too, so it's pretty cool. Well, so Brendan and I were chatting by email quite a bit beforehand. He was sending me some rough footage to get excited, get inspired, and I sent him some of my music to say, hey, some of my pre-made music, saying, what do you think of this kind of cue? What do you think of this kind of cue? And to Brendan's credit, he was thorough. As you can tell, he's a thorough guy. And so he wrote me a great play-by-play of what he was hoping for. And I just went with it. I just went with his notes and started making stuff. We knew that we needed we basically wanted a theme for each character. And so we had the taxi, we had Slade and Steve, and who am I forgetting, Brendan?
And Roscoe.
And Roscoe, of course, Sander. So we had those four themes, and then they kind of intertwined throughout the film. But the first one that I came up with was the film for Steve, which kind of is the main theme that kind of comes back a few times throughout the film. And that's we knew we wanted it to be on electric guitar. So that having that kind of limitation happen right near the start sort of set me on my way to know where I was headed with it, I guess. And yeah, I don't know, just throwing stuff against the wall and see what sticks kind of is how my process works, I guess.
By the way, the first thing that he throws, apparently it just works immediately.
That's a good throw. That's a really good throw.
Yeah, I'm you know, fussy with what I'm fussy with what I want to send to a director. So I try to get it as good as I can before I'm gonna get their input, and then hopefully I did get a sticky throw. And yeah.
Was there any hurdles or any challenges where you thought you were going to go one way and ended up going in a totally different direction?
Let's think. Not really in that way, I don't think. We like the direction was pretty solid in terms of like, yeah, we know we want Roscoe's character to have these dark, brooding electronic elements, let's say, and weird textures and whatnot. So like things like that were known. It was more just the hard part was just like me staring at a screen for a long time trying to figure out how to make that happen. But yeah, there was never any real like I went right and we needed to go left, thankfully.
Perfect. Well, I guess the last big question then, other than
Can I jump in, Rob? I just want to say one more thing about the music, which was there's a few things I could say, but the scene where Steve has taken on board that he has to do this job and he's psyching himself up to do it. That scene, he gets in the taxi, he has a little whiskey, as you do before getting into a car. And in that scene, the music that Rob composed, it actually reminded me of a score that Neil Young did for a Jim Jarmusch movie called Dead Man, I think it's called, with Johnny Depp. It's like a black and white Western. And the guitar riffs are so perfect for Steve because of his interest in rock and roll, and he's a rock star. And that scene from him gathering his courage to do what he needs to do, and then becoming the frightening, heroic figure that he once was and can be again, as he puts the jacket on and he puts the hat on, and then he reaches his hand out and a lightning bolt connects him to the engine of the car and the car comes to life. The music in that scene is where I've noticed audiences, they pivot emotionally and they think to themselves, oh, damn, this short film is much more than I was expecting it to be. It has a depth to it, an emotional depth, and it has a kind of, it just has a dimension to it that they weren't expecting. And without Rob's music, that would have been impossible. So kudos to him.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks, Brendan. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it was a pleasure to work on, and I'm proud of what we created.
Yeah.
And on that note, Brandon, what I was kind of curious, kind of leads to my question about, I'm obviously asking a lot of it from the festival perspective. I'm curious how you found the audience's reactions has been to at various festivals, in particular how it was in Austin. We have a lot of alumni that have played that festival. There's a lot of kinship, probably, that I can tell you offline about that festival and ours. And I'm kind of curious about like what the audience reaction and what your festival run has been like so far for this.
Yeah. Our first festival was actually the Peterborough Shorts Showcase at Market Hall. And unfortunately for us, there was a bit of a power problem on the block downtown. And so our film didn't play. But our reception at Blood in the Snow was wonderful. We had I know almost everyone here except for Rob was present for that. And people made a lot of noise and it felt really good. And Steve, what did you think of our reception down in Austin? How did that feel to you?
It was amazing. People responded awesomely to the film.
Yeah, we
Everything was a buzz down there. I loved Austin. All of the friends that we made, everybody's feedback from our film. They really gave us the thumbs up.
Yeah, totally.
So that was a really great experience. I can't wait to go back to
Mhm.
whatever else is going to be happening down there.
Oh, 100%. And our film showed as part of a block called Late Night Nutters. That was the second day of the festival. Basically, all the most insane filmmakers had their stuff put in that block. And our film was shown last because I think Hellbound Taxi lands with a pretty good punch at the end. And it works well as a final film for an evening. And I think maybe some of the folks watching had been into the hospitality suite that evening, and it had been a long day. So they were, when Xander finally got hit by the taxi and when he got roasted in the back of the taxi, they were quite loud. And that's an interesting point, which is not only cheering, but laughing, because in a way that I never could have foreseen, Hellbound Taxi is a funny film in many ways. Like, it's, I don't want to say cheesy, but it's got that grindhouse aesthetic that is just tremendously entertaining, and you can take it any way you want. You know, it's scary, but it's also funny.
It's the cusp of that B-roll horror,
right,
where you do tend to laugh, but like you said, it's that grittier edge.
Yeah, exactly.
Excellent. Well, and again, I guess on that note too, this is a proof of concept.
Indeed.
What are the plans for a feature Hellbound Taxi?
Yeah, we're very keen to do a feature. That's been our intention from the beginning. We'd love to tackle something like that. And I've been working away on a storyline, because the question is, you know, we've got a 12-minute story, and the elements that we have are quite sufficient for a 12-minute story. But for 90 to 120 pages of script, you need a lot more substance. And in particular, I think we need to find the heart. We need characters to care about. We need things to feel strongly about. And so that's a big task, finding that. And but I know all of us are very keen to make something much bigger and much more ambitious. That's been our intent from the start.
Well, especially when you have a proof of concept like this, because you did a beautiful job of setting that up. Like, you gave him the drive to get back in the driver's seat.
Right. Exactly.
And you don't want to fumble the ball with the next act, you know?
100%. You don't want to let down the fans.
Yes. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Kelly, any other questions?
No, thanks it's great to see everyone on camera, and hopefully people can watch and listen on this. And that's great. I'm very curious. We've actually had quite a few films that have been shorts that have played the festival down the road. So we have like 4 or 5 of them. So it's actually happened quite often. So hopefully we'll have the same for you down the road.
Yeah. Cheers. Hoping. Cheers.
Thank you all so much.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Join us next time for Blood in the Snow Radio. Bits Radio is a production of Three Evil Cats Productions in association with the Blood in the Snow Canadian Film Festival. For more information and to listen to other episodes, visit bloodinthesnow.ca and tweet us at BitsFilmFest. Music by Jen Gorman, produced and edited by Kelly Michael Stewart.